Hey there, everyone. For those who might have been wondering what's been going on with me since I haven't been posting, all two of you that aren't in my server, um, I ended up finding a place to live. I've also been trying to sort stuff in my life, try to get my computer fixed. There's a lot going on. I also changed jobs, so I've been adjusting to that, and it's just I have been busy. But that's not what I'm here to update you all on today. I am here to update on, or rather, talk about the Oscars 2022. For those who just want my most basic take, Will Smith should have hit Chris Rock harder. Okay, now that I got that out of the way, um, yeah, let's talk about what Chris Rock did. Chris Rock had been openly ableist on national TV. So on my end, I can't be someone who actually talks about what black women go through or black people in general, because I don't believe I have that heritage. I don't know what my heritage is, but I don't have any sort of inclination making me think I have black in me. Which, whatever, not a big deal. So, if you want to talk about, or if you want to hear about it from involving the actual like black women's end of things, Harriyanna Hook, or it's not Harriyanna Hook, did an excellent video that just gave the quick rant of what the matter is really like. I'll probably link her in the description if I remember, or if someone reminds me in the comments. Um, but let's talk about the actual ableism here. For those who didn't know or don't know, myself had been included in this until the actual slap happened. I wouldn't have even known the Oscars happened otherwise if that slap didn't happen. Um, so Jada Pinkett Smith has an autoimmune disorder. In her autoimmune disorder, she has a symptom called alopecia, which is hair loss. And I don't understand. And on my end, I know that hair for black women is a much more important thing than it is for most other forms of heritage. But on some scale, I can and do understand that losing your hair is a horrific thing to go through. Now, to continue on that, an autoimmune disorder will cause your body to think it is the illness and attack itself. And unfortunately for Jada, she was losing her hair because of it. Now, because of her autoimmune disorder, she is at a high risk of having COVID and not surviving. So, from that, what's going on is she is, for all functionality's sake, disabled because her quality of life has been damaged by an autoimmune disorder. So, by all accounts, she counts as physically disabled, or medically disabled, I guess you could say. Regardless, Chris Rock felt it was totally fine, totally justified to be openly ableist on national TV. And what Will Smith did was, at first he was laughing, and then he went up to Chris Rock and then proceeded to slap him. Which, as far as I'm concerned, that slap was way too nice. Because that kind of thing, just no. Jada had apparently been open about her alopecia, her insecurities with her losing hair and baldness subsequently, even though she sped up the process by shaving her own head, which her choice. Chris Rock mocked her by calling her G.I. Jane. Instead And if he made it more of a joke saying that Jada is looking really strong like G.I. Jane, turning it both into admiration and a sort of humor, that would have been totally fine. Probably would have actually been even a compliment of sorts to let him know, to let Jada know, I'm sorry, let her know that he was trying to show her respect, or at least didn't want to disrespect her like that. But this opens up another can of issues. Because Jada goes through physical disability. There's also psychological disability, which is so not talked about. It's actively detrimental to progress in people's lives. And honestly, just the way psychological disability is actively encouraged is honestly just one of the saddest things, and just insanely frightening, because both physical and psychological ableism have this ever presence in society. The word cripple is a mixed bag. Some say it's an insult, other people say it's not. I have no, technically speaking, if it actually is a full slur, I should not have just said it. But I'm not sure whether it counts or not, because ableism is so rarely talked about. We don't even have clear definitions amongst each other of what is and isn't harmful, for the most part at least. One thing that is most certainly harmful is the R slur. I'll say it once just so people know what the word is. The word retard is a slur. Yes, there is the term as when it was used as a medical diagnosis, which it no longer is. And to add to that, sometimes it needs to be used to be the simplified form of explaining to someone who doesn't understand medical terms, which that's not a good thing that happens, but it's understandable when people don't understand fancy fancy medical terms such as cognitively impaired, which, if you have to use it just to get a point across in a non-slur way, that's generally fine as far as I'm concerned. But when it's used as an insult to actively degrade someone, there is no other way to see it than as a direct slur. There's discussion that things like idiot and moron are considered ableist. I am in the camp that doesn't consider them that, because usually it refers to people who do something that is very obviously something they, one, didn't think through at all, and two, it shows that they were either overconfident or otherwise just doing something that could not be circumvented or seen as thought through in any sort of way. It was them being willfully non-critical in their thought process. Now, to add to that, there are some people who can't do critical thought. And yes, those people are very obviously victims of psychological ableism. But in terms of people who can do critical thought and then don't think it through, calling those people idiots, morons, stupid, etc., is not ableist. It's calling them out for very obviously willfully harmful behavior that shows they refused to think through what they were doing. And among those people were some of the people who had harassed me over the second half of last year. Or people who just knew me as a person, actually got to know me, and then accused me of being malicious or harmful or something bad, and just deciding that that was what they were going to think of me. Sometimes going back on their own word that I could vent to them, or not giving me a chance to change, or not even communicating to me because I was someone who obviously I could receive communication. I have problems with thinking certain things through. It's why I talk to other people a lot, to get their views and make sure that what I'm doing isn't going to backfire in a horrendous way. It's not that I can't, it's not that I choose not to think, it's that I lack foresight. So I talk to other people who might be able to give the outside perspective necessary. It's how I make up for my own shortcomings, which, amusingly, is what prevents me from being an idiot. However, the idiots I'm talking about harassed me and constantly blamed me and accused me of shit that there was no proof of, to the point where I had been sexually harassed. And that's not the discussion here today. The discussion is that of ableism. And to call the people who harassed me idiots harassed me, disrespected me, instantly changed their opinion of me to be some harmful, malicious, or some other disgusting thing, like whatever they decided to think of me as in a negative light, when they had already gotten to know me, yeah, those people are stupid. The people who had accused me of having selfish intent, of openly lying to people, and not even asking what I was planning on doing, involving lies and truth and all that shit. Those people just are stupid. But someone who, Chris Rock himself, is stupid. But someone who can't actually think through things, that's not stupid. That's not even dumb. That's just disabled. And it sucks when people are disabled. Quality of life is actively inhibited. But to take away from this, ableism has been going on uninhibited, actively encouraged for way too long. The R slur is being treated like it's just a casual word, and has less pushback from it than the N word. If someone who isn't black says the N word, well, people are going to be ready to beat them down, no problem, and as they should be. If someone says the R slur, the people are going to not even bat an eye at it if that person is not disabled. When both are slurs, both carry massive amounts of harm and degradation behind them, and are incredibly heavy words as a whole. And people who just point blank say that we shouldn't be offended by either of those two words, they're just encouraging the bigoted behavior and harm those words cause. Let alone Chris Rock saying something about Jada looking like G.I. Jane. which is nothing short of obviously callous and insensitive to what she's going through. If he said she was tough like G.I. Jane, that could have been both amusing and showing respect. But he didn't clarify that he was trying to give admiration in the moment. People refuse to clarify so often and act like it's the fault of the people who just didn't get it or aren't listening on matters where the obvious implication is overarching, otherwise insulting, crass, disrespectful. And people are showing that they are willing to just insult a black woman at minimal prompting and just constantly treat her like garbage, while also simultaneously supporting being openly ableist. What Will Smith, with that one slap, did was defending black women at the same time as fighting ableism. I'm not going to do what John Lennon did and say disabled people are the N-word of the world or anything like that, because John Lennon's a piece of crap, and you don't do that. But what I am going to say is this: do not at all act like Jada deserves the level of disrespect she did. Whether, like, okay, pretending she actually did cheat on Will, even though they have an open marriage, that does not negate that she was attacked with ableism, not treated like a cheater would be. And that is Will Smith's entire thing to talk about. That is Will Smith's battle if she actually is cheating. But what isn't just Will Smith's battle or Jada's battle is ableism. Because at any moment, anyone can become disabled. Most people in their lives do become disabled. Whether it's through old age, or an accident, or just a random injury even. And to give an example of what wouldn't be physical ableism, a few years ago there was a white supremacist in a wheelchair. I don't remember his name. He wasn't important. He looked like every other white supremacist. And yes, a lot of them do just look all exactly the same. It's weird, creepy, and gross. But whatever the case, there was this meme also floating around at the same time of someone in a wheelchair being dumped off a cliff out of their wheelchair. And someone made a meme of that guy being the one dumped off a cliff in their photo edit. That was not ableism in a sense that you would think, because the wheelchair was a prop that fit the meme. If the man only had a broken leg, or broken legs from, or whatever, had a cast from the waist down, whatever, even a full body cast just while he was recovering, it still would have been the same intent, because he was in a wheelchair at the time. Whether he himself is someone who is constantly a wheelchair user or would have temporarily been one, the wheelchair was just a prop for the meme. It is not ableist to dump someone like that off the cliff, because that wasn't something that was mocking him for being disabled. And it would, but what would have been ableist is somehow trying to tie his inability to walk to him being a complete imbecile for being a bigot, saying, you're stupid enough to be racist, so you're obviously too stupid to walk as well. Something along those lines, that would have been ableist. Because yes, you are attacking him, but you're hitting a lot of physically disabled people who have their legs but can't walk in that crossfire. And that is the core problem of what Chris Rock did. He didn't target Jada specifically. He caught several people who are bald or have hair loss or otherwise insecure about their heads against their will in that crossfire. Jada was named, but at the same time, a lot of innocent people got caught in that crossfire, and that is where things like ableism and racism become problems when they're treated as jokes. It's not the person you're specifically targeting that's the issue. Excuse me. The problem is the innocent people who did nothing that get caught in the crossfire. The people who will be hurt in the aftermath of the situation. And that is why ableism, as well as things like racism, homophobia, sexism, and transphobia, are all such big problems with how people get hurt. Because it's not just one person that gets hurt. It's a collective when it's turned into mocking, when it's treated as a joke. And sometimes that's the intent of people making the joke, but other times it's not. And that needs to be recognized. You don't make a joke saying that someone who's Native American obviously is supposed to tweet like a bird. You don't make a joke saying that someone black is like a monkey. Which, full disclosure, I have made those fuck ups when I was a teenager, way back when. No one explained the monkey one to me, but someone called me out for the bird joke, and I did apologize to that person later. And thankfully, she wasn't mad at me for it. Last time I saw her, she and I were actually on very good terms. She was kind of actually happy to see me in a way. And her daughter is doing well as well, so that was actually nice to see. And in that, it's a thing of, you need to think more about what you say and what you do. A lot of people do. A lot of people need to understand that ableism is so ever present and so blatant and even encouraged in our daily society that Chris Rock felt like he could get away with doing that on national TV. If Will Smith hadn't slapped him, it would have gotten worse again. It would have continued getting worse until literal hate speech and hate groups would be just openly on national TV, unabashed, or unchallenged. That's what it is, unchallenged. We already have groups like Autism Speaks that exist. We don't need more hate groups in the world. We need to be willing to fight hate groups. I'm not saying that we should obviously instantly be violent. That would just be invoking something illegal. But what I am saying is that we do have some manner of ethical obligation to be ready to fight against ableism wherever we see it.